messing up everything.
It's been Agatha all along.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Long time no see to the Planet Film Network. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
And I'm your host, TJ Cornwell.
And it has been 5 long months since we have last been with you.
It feels like longer than that.
It does feel like longer than that. Our last, I actually can't remember if it was a live stream or premiere, was our Revenge of the 5th / May the 4th celebration, Bad Batch, what do you want to call it? Bad Batch full series, review, everything like that. Luckily, in the 5 months that we've been off the air, nothing has even come out in Star Wars, let alone anything remotely, weird or over the top happening, on the internet or anything like that. But that being said, we are here to talk about a little Disney Plus show that is 6 letters long, starts with the letter A. But this one's from Marvel Studios, and that is Agatha all along. So we are jumping back online just so that you guys know, work, life, scheduling, everything has been keeping us from you. But TJ wanted to, we've been trying to make things happen over the few months, and I just had the time, so I went, let's do it with Agatha. Could continue, definitely at least want to check back in when the show wraps up. But there's also another big comic book show out right now in the Penguin, so we might talk about that at some point as well. We will try to get stuff out to you guys when we are able to. That being said, TJ, let's jump right in. We are going to be doing our full, probably a little bit of a combined non-spoiler talk of episode 1 and 2. We just had the 2-part season or series premiered. We don't know if it's limited or not yet, but we just had our 2-episode premiere, so we're going to talk a little non-spoiler about that and then kind of dive into a full spoiler discussion of the 2 episodes, how we've been feeling, everything like that. TJ, as the world's biggest WandaVision fan since day one, how are you feeling about Agatha all along, the return of Agatha Harkness with Kathryn Hahn, return of Jack Schaefer, who obviously wrote all of this and wrote all of WandaVision? How are you feeling about the first 2 episodes?
I will say I'd say I'm feeling pretty confident. I'll just go through real quick the first episode. I liked how it opened. I'll say that. I was like, am I watching True Detective? I was like, should I click the wrong app? Did I click the wrong show? So I did like how that started. It was kind of like, because if you remember, and maybe my memory's hazy, WandaVision came out, 2021, I think it was?
Yeah, 3 years.
So when we left Agatha, it was like she kind of was stuck in this, like, the role she was playing before she was kind of found out in WandaVision, basically. Mm-hmm. So when we see that she's playing this, like, detective character, I was like, okay, I don't know how we got there, like, but I guess I'll just go along with it.
Yeah.
And obviously, seeing where she ends up and kind of, they're already kind of dropping these hints to different things right when they're kind of looking at the dead body in the beginning of the episode. And then the teen shows up, which I thought was interesting. It reminded me of when we went through the
reminded you of
experience
it. Yeah.
At Fan Expo.
And we met Teen in person.
Yeah, it was just the teen, and we were like, okay, that's an interesting character.
I will say this to go a little further context on that. Mm-hmm. We went in the 5 months. It's not like TJ and I have not been speaking. We speak almost every day, and went to Fan Expo Toronto together, which is a 4-day convention up in Toronto. And it was obviously just a couple weeks ago. So they had a full Agatha booth set up that was, the walk the witch's road, go down to the road, as it were. And we went in there, and I would say it was about 15 feet. I don't know, that might be generous. But it was a cool, like, ambiance. And then, like TJ said, there was a couple different outfits from the show. I think it was Rio, Agatha, obviously, and then Teen. And then there was one that I don't actually think they were supposed to be a character, but it was like an actress instead of a mannequin who was, I think, supposed to, like, jump out at you.
Few people.
Yeah, they didn't jump out at us at all. But yeah, that was our first brush with Agatha all along. Pretty.
And
pretty
then,
enchanting.
of course, throughout the first episode, you're seeing, characters that you saw throughout WandaVision as well. So it's like to see some of those people pop back up. And then I was just really excited to see Aubrey Plaza. I wouldn't say I'm like a huge fan of hers, but it was kind of cool to see her in this show. So I'm interested to see like where this character goes after the first episode, because that's the only episode she's in out of the two so far. So I thought it was a really strong start, to kind of get back into this world. Would I have loved like a little recap or something, maybe, from WandaVision? That would have probably been very helpful. But as the episode went along, it really kind of jogged my memory of how we got here. I'm not completely sure how she was kind of. Well, we'll get into this. We'll get into the spoiler, but I'm not really sure how we got like outside of the world. But whatever. And then episode 2, I thought was another good episode, kind of rounding the crew up. I thought was cool. And I think maybe kind of posed like the biggest question for me for this show, maybe, that I'm really interested in, is who is this teen? Because it seems to be like the big secret. And I think I might have a theory on who he is based on something that was kind of hinted at in the first episode. And I'll run that by you and see if that makes sense. And I might need you to explain to me, because I don't know if they really did that well of an explanation.
Well, he said who he is. He said that he's.
Yeah, exactly, right. What, like, I feel like they didn't really explain, like, the whole road thing. Like, like, do you get your powers when you go down it, or like what? It's kind of like a trial, I guess, type thing. A
lot of building in the context, I think.
Right. Yeah. And another person, Deborah Jo Rupp, really great to see her again. It seems like she's going to be a bigger part of this show, which I'm actually
than WandaVision for sure. For sure. And she had her own kind of highlight episode, and wasn't that the premiere?
Exactly. Yeah. I think
she had her own like highlight episode, and I think she's going to be a way bigger part of this one.
Yeah, but overall, strong start. I am excited to see where it goes. So hopefully they stick the landing on a show for a character that I think a lot of people probably at the end of WandaVision were like, do we really need a show? Like, is it really necessary? So,
well, I gotta say, I don't think there's any way beating around this. I pretty much agree with everything that you said. For one, I will say, I joke that TJ's the biggest WandaVision fan. I loved WandaVision. Vision is like easily top 5. Actually, see there's 6 Wandas and then 6 Visions in that square underneath it, on the shelves behind me, not on my chair. I loved that series. Vision is one of my favorite people in the entire MCU, as is Wanda, obviously. And I really liked Kathryn Hahn as Agatha. I just thought that she was a really fun, kind of malignant presence in all throughout WandaVision. And then obviously, when you're like us and people watching this, you're going and watching the Screen Crush videos. Back when WandaVision came out, you're watching the the Screen Junkies videos, RIP, a ton of channels. But you're watching the explainers and the what does it all mean, and Mephisto and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I think, just kind of jumping to the tail end of what you said, I think a lot of that is just Jack Schaefer's style of writing for the context of writing to be like, there's not gonna be a big scene where teen goes, but Agatha, I heard that you have to have this, and it's only going to restore exactly this much of your power, or you know what I mean. I think it's the fact that we're only getting this information through Agatha kind of talking to other people, and a lot of it just in the second episode, really, even though obviously they mentioned the Witch's Road in the first episode. I just really like that style, and I think for me that's why these 2 episodes have been so strong, because I look online and I watched a couple reviews, read obviously some like tweet reactions of people who don't have YouTube channels anymore that I follow, like Lon Harris. I was reading his whole thread on it, and a lot of people I think are not with us. I think the show seems to be pretty warmly received as of right now after the first 2 episodes, but I've seen a lot of people who even say that they enjoy it, being like the first episode was very boring, and then the second episode is like when it really started to heat up. I actually, if anything, thought it was the reverse, but I didn't think either one was boring. I thought that the first episode, for me, I mean, obviously we had, True Detective Night Country that we reviewed on the channel. You can go check that out right now.
Right.
But was a fantastic series. So True Detective was top of mind. Mayor of Easttown, obviously top of mind, with the intro and everything. So for me, I just thought all that stuff worked because, again, we're keeping it light, spoiler free in this section, but there's the beginning, like, True Detective TV show stuff, and then there's a couple of different scenes in episode 2 that let Kathryn Hahn, within the construct of the Agatha character, do a couple of other characters, like where she gets to do, like, particularly I'm thinking about when we first are introduced to Patti LuPone, and she's kind of playing a character to meet that witch. So I just like eat that stuff up. I just think that it's great to give Kathryn Hahn that opportunity to be like the hard-boiled detective, and then like a southern like mom just trying to like, find out information type of thing. And I thought that all that stuff worked. So I think that really carried me through a lot of it. But also I don't feel like this overall need that I had to be carried through the first 2 episodes. I was just really kind of in for the ride of it, to revisit this kind of corner of the MCU, even though, just as early as last year, you had Monica talking about Westview and all this stuff in the Marvels,
Right.
a movie which, by the way, I just rewatched the other day. It's okay, but yeah, Westview, gets talked about right there. So I was excited to go back. I liked the first 2 episodes a lot, and I'm sure we will get into even more. But yeah, overall, I mean, are we recommending this show? I think so.
Yeah, the first 2 episodes, I would say.
Yeah, I think so for sure. Especially the fact it's, I think it's, what is it, 9 episodes? Yeah, 9 episodes. Yeah. They're probably going to be about 35 to maybe 45 minutes per episode, which is a little longer than some of the other ones.
The other night I started the first episode at like 10 o'clock, and
yeah,
I was like, I asked Danielle if she wanted to watch with me, and she didn't really care, but she was like, "Oh, I'll go to bed." And I was like, "Well, no, just wait up." She's like, "Well, how long is it?" And I was like, "Well, it's 44 minutes, but usually that's like 38, 37 maybe." I was like, 5 of that is like at least credits. So, yeah, I think this show just so far through first 2 episodes, hopefully this can kind of start to, we can start to retool the Marvel machine, kind of get back on track. We're going to do less projects now every year. Hopefully that leads to higher quality shows. And I hope this show is a good start for that.
Yeah, and to me, I really want to keep this review and are dipping our toe back in the water, mostly rant free on my part. But some of the YouTube channels that we know and love and have been watching for a long time, repeatedly say this about Marvel projects lately, and it's that's not really, part of the main MCU. So like it doesn't really count in like the success column. Like, well, Deadpool's kind of its own thing. Guardians, that's kind of its own thing. It's like wrapping up the I don't buy that at all. I think if Guardians was great, even though James Gunn is not at the studio anymore, that's a win for Kevin Feige and the MCU. The fact that we're coming off of Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't buy into the like, well, Captain America has to be the thing that hits. It's like, for me, we're coming off of, can you help me? What was before Deadpool and Wolverine? What was the last thing? X-Men 97?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so you're talking about going from X-Men 97 to, and even right before that, the Marvels. I give it like a 3.5. I like that movie. I've only seen it twice. Once when it came out just the other day. But, for me, it's not about, oh, Deadpool was good, but that doesn't really count. It's really Captain America and Thunderbolts that's going to be the proof that they're back. It's like, no, if I went from enjoying Marvel Studios putting out X-Men 97, then I go to enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine, and then I go to and I enjoy Agatha all along, I don't go, well, those are different mediums. It's animation. It's this. It's that. It's all Marvel Studios. It's all the movies and stuff that I loved, and the shows now for the last 3.5 years since WandaVision that I've loved. So for me, I think if Agatha wins, I think I agree 100% with you that this is like we're getting the machine back going. I don't think we have to wait for every movie to prove itself. It's like for me, if Captain America is good, and if Agatha sticks the landing and Captain America is good, I am gonna just go into Thunderbolts being like, well, even if this one's not good, they just gave me a great string of 5, and I'm gonna enjoy the actors in this at least. I just think that people like to get a little overhyped on the Marvel is dead. The reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Anyways, that aside, I said I wasn't gonna rant, and then I went on a mini one, but that's fine. All right. Let's head over into spoiler territory. So, if for whatever reason you've gotten 16 minutes into this video, you have not watched the episodes yet, we're going to go ahead and tell you to pause right here. Go ahead and come back after you've watched the episodes. We're going to go kind of full spoiler territory. We don't have a rundown or anything, so we're just going to kind of jump around, kind of call out things that we like. If you want to pull up any of the theories that you wanted to say, or any of the questions you wanted to say, in the non-spoiler or anything, we can go there or wherever you want to go. But we are going to jump into full spoiler talk for the rest of this video right now. So, yeah.
Let me just real quick. So, first episode, I'll start with my thought, I guess. It's not even like a theory. It's just like, oh, maybe that's who that character is. First episode, before we've Agatha has kind of broken out of the trance basically she's been in, which I do kind of find it funny that everything else around her has been just functioning normally since Wanda left Westview, but she's kind of stuck in this like where she thinks like everything around her is, she's in this like True Detective thing where really it's like not, it's just like, it's kind of funny to think of somebody like going around acting a certain way while everybody else is acting completely normal around them.
Yeah.
Just really weird to think about. But when she goes into the house and she opens that room and it says, what's his name? Nicholas Spark? Is that his name?
It's Nicholas Scratch. Nicholas Sparks is the all the romance movies. He writes all the... What's the freaking movie called? The Notebook. He wrote The Notebook and Safe Haven and all these. Safe Haven. Why did I just pull out the name Safe Haven?
I knew it was Nicholas, then an S or something.
Yeah, Nicholas Scratch.
So are we sure that's just not the teen? Is that a possibility?
Safe Haven is Josh Duhamel and Julianne Hough. Wow, I pulled that one out. I think. Well, if we're gonna just call a spade here, I think we're gonna just say, leading up to this, and I still think this is what it is. And again, maybe if you don't want any spoilers based on like comic knowledge or just like character knowledge or anything, maybe jump forward like a minute right here, because we're gonna go into something that the show is probably gonna tease out a little bit. So jump forward like a minute. Okay. I think going into this, everybody was under the conception that he is Billy, Wanda and Vision's son.
Right.
That he is, Wiccan. Yeah.
Right. He just looks nothing like him. So I was like...
Yeah, but also I think that's just like, he's supposed to be like 10 years older. So I think they can, they're like wiggling out in like the recast, basically. But I think you might be, I think there's more evidence of that than I thought there was going to be in this show. My personal thoughts, just so that we can move on from that like spoiler area, my personal thoughts is I think it will be who we're thinking it is. And I think that the Nicholas Scratch stuff is the Nicholas Scratch stuff in relation to teen is just either a red herring or it's leading to something else, to some other thing. Because there is the line of, and some of the other characters we haven't mentioned, like Sashir Zameda from SNL is playing Jennifer Kale, who's another one of the witches here. And when she first sees Agatha, she says some sort of joke or some sort of snipe about, oh, is this another child sacrifice?
Right.
So, that could be something that, it's just an offhanded remark, but then, knowing Jack Schaefer and knowing how WandaVision was, could come back in a big way later on, either in the finale or somewhere else in the series. So I think that Nicholas Scratch could be Teen, or I should say Teen could be Nicholas Scratch, but my gut is telling me I don't think so. But again, that's just me. But yeah, I think. Well, you know what? If you jumped forward that minute, anybody who's watching this, I think we're gonna have to talk about it in a deeper way, because now my mind is racing about it. So just all right, just to lay it all out there, this is what I think happened, because there's a lot of questions that I'm gonna try and answer and preempt with this that I've been thinking about, because I watched the episodes once through, then again, and then I think I actually watched them 3 times each. Like maybe one of the times was like passively. Yeah. But then the third time was like, I was like, okay, we're gonna review it, so I'm gonna like rewatch it and like actually ingest it again. I think, and again, if you don't want to know anything, I don't know what to tell you. Here we go. I think that he is Billy. I think he is Wanda's son. And I think, first of all, very cool that the whole, Agnes of Westview, Mayor of Easttown bit, that the dead body was Wanda. I thought that was kind of awesome. It was so. I was sitting there going, it's so cool that they tied in Doctor Strange 2 to this, as if we're not talking about the MCU. Like, I was like, because I just feel like, people love to say like, oh, how does this connect? This barely connects. They connect these things a lot more than people give them credit for. And I think that one of those is, and obviously it's very public that the ending of WandaVision and the beginning of Doctor Strange 2, those two Wandas maybe don't equal out to each other. But I think they went, unlike a certain Star Wars franchise with its 9th installment, they went, this is the ball that we were past. We're going to run with the end of Doctor Strange 2. We're not going to contradict any of that stuff. That's what happened last in this kind of mini universe. And so that's what we're going to run with. So all the allusions to, it's like something, heavy dropped on her head or something, or she was crushed by something heavy, all this stuff. So whether that's just in Agatha's mind and, Wanda's not actually physically back in Westview, like as if her body was teleported to Westview, when she was starting to die in the mountain, I guess. Whether that is that or not, based on the fact that this show is keying in on the fact that Wanda died, how Wanda died, and what the circumstances around her death were in Multiverse of Madness, I think lends it to my thoughts and theories on Teen, in that I think what happened is, as she's dying, she does some sort of spell, the last use of the Darkhold, whatever you might call it, does some sort of a spell that brings back, because obviously the other thing we're not talking about here, who's not in this show, is Tommy. He's got to be somewhere too. I think what happened is she goes, bring my kids back, like make my kids be alive and like protected. That's the way that I think, because when she says, "Who are you?" and he goes to talk and his mouth gets like sewn shut, it does look like a very Wanda, either W or M, because it kind of goes in and out of a W and an M, which is obviously Wanda Maximoff. So the way that I took it, and then the way that I took it in the car when Agatha just straight up can't hear him talking, is that I wonder if one of Wanda's last acts was just let my boys be alive and in the world again, and until I can find some way to get back to them, let them be protected from, whether it's Agatha specifically or just make it so that they can't divulge stuff that would put their lives at risk. Like it's almost like it's a fail-safe that the teen doesn't even know that it's happening. I mean, obviously he doesn't know what's happening because Agatha's the only one that can realize that she can't hear it. But that's the way that I took it, is that I think it's like, Wanda's, last wish or something like that, before she died, was bring my sons back to life and make it so that, nobody can find out who they are. They're protected, they're hidden, even from, witches or wizards or, sorcerers or anything like that. So that's what my take is on it, because I think that answers the question of like, well, how is he alive? How is he there?
Right.
Why can't we hear what he's saying? Why doesn't he know who Agatha is? I think it's like when Wanda comes back, or maybe even Vision, but he's got his own memories to sort out. Like when Wanda comes back, maybe she will, replant all of the memories of growing up with them and stuff like that. So I think that he's kind of blank slated right now for his own protection. That's kind of my theory.
I'll say that makes sense. And I could totally see that happening. What you just explained, that like makes complete sense to me. I think it'll just be a little bit of heavy lifting maybe on the back end to try and kind of get that all. I'm hoping that they keep kind of spreading these little, hints and stuff throughout the course of the next 9 episodes, or 7 episodes. But if they do that and they don't all dump it all on us at once, where it's like this big kind of like exposition dump, where it's like, well, actually this happened and that happened and that happened. I think it'd work out really well. Now I'm kind of hoping that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel, I'll say this, I just feel like based on my base knowledge of the Marvel stuff, the MCU, like kind of the internal logic of it, I always feel confident in my like prognosticating like that, and I have no idea what my track record is. So it's like like, I feel like I'm like, well, that's my theory on it. So in my head, I'm like, well, that's the only way that I can see it working. But it just might not. Maybe it just doesn't work. Maybe they just don't pay it off or something. But I would be very surprised, considering the talk of like, WandaVision, Agatha, and Vision are all going to be their own, like trilogy, basically, that they've said. And actually, it'd be interesting if, on the flip side, what if a young actor comes in to play Tommy in the Vision series, and he doesn't know who his father is? Like maybe it's like we get who we think might be Billy in this show, and then we get who we think might be Tommy in the Vision show, and then maybe by the end of all of this, going into Secret Wars, we have Billy and Tommy back on the board with their memories, with their powers, all that, with hopefully their parents back as well. But enough Wanda and Vision. What are some of the other characters that have been working here for you? We got like you already touched on, Deborah Jo Rupp as Mrs. Hart, or Miss Sharon Davis, as she likes to remind us. We got Aubrey Plaza in this, obviously.
Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, Patti
That's
LuPone.
the one I'm interested in as well.
Yeah.
And obviously the people that are chasing them at the end of the episode.
Yeah, the Salem
very
7.
creepy, by the way. Very, very creepy.
Yeah, that was really effective. The third time I watched it, it was much later at night, and that was genuinely creepy.
Yeah, especially when the one like jumps through the window and tries to grab the teen. I was like,
what was terrible. The one that really got me was when he's in the living room and he's like yelling at nothing. And then the cameras, it just nothing, something. And then it's like, it was like the last shot, they were right there. That one really like genuinely got my heart racing. And it wasn't even the first time I had seen it. So, even just talking about, and we'll cut right back to Aubrey Plaza here, but you just touching on it, the execution in these first 2 episodes is like amazing. I mean, I think it looks fantastic. I think the sets are so well thought out and so purposeful. The character design, the outfits, the costuming, even the hair and makeup. I mean, almost everybody in the show is wearing a wig, except, actually Agatha. But I just think that all that stuff looks fantastic, and I think that plays into kind of the creepiness of it. But yeah, what what are your kind of immediate thoughts on Rio, aka Aubrey Plaza's character?
Well, I like kind of how she's playing in that, and obviously the detective world, how that was at the beginning of the first episode. I really liked her character there.
Yeah.
And then to kind of see the whole realization when she opens up the closet and the teen's there, and she's like, "Oh, if you're real," then she gets like blasted into the wall. I thought that was cool. So obviously she hates her. I don't know the motivation of why, really. It seems like everybody does, actually.
Yeah.
Everybody hates Agatha,
I think
really.
Agatha has made a lot of enemies over a lot of hundreds of years.
Right. So I'm interested to see, like, where, is there, like, a deeper story there? I imagine there is. Is she also, like, a comic character, or is that
No,
something
so,
made up for the show?
it seems like, I mean, with the exception of Mrs. Hart, who was a creation for WandaVision, but maybe they're gonna spin her out to be some obscure comic character or whatever. But she is the one whole, like, created from whole cloth MCU creation is Rio. But then again, there is, like, I believe it's the Green Enchantress or the Green Sorceress, or what is whatever the female for sorcerer is. There is a, like, Green Witch type character from the comics who is more associated with Doctor Doom than with Agatha. So I think the people that are like saying like, oh, I think that she could really be important going forward. I think they're thinking like a Doom angle with that character. But yeah, as far as the show, I think it's completely created. But yeah, in that interaction, I took it as like it seemed like they were like maybe a thing for a while. Because she even says to her, she's like, so that's what you've been doing this whole time. You've been, hiding yourself from me you've been hiding behind the Darkhold from me all these years.
Right.
So it's like now that she no longer has the Darkhold, or now that the Darkhold is completely destroyed, that was another moment that I liked of her still in the illusion world. That weird moment in the library. Where that like random guy who maybe will I don't know, he seemed to just be like a manifestation of her consciousness, or of her subconsciousness. But I picked up on that right away is when it was burnt out, and he goes, every copy. I was like, I mean, I'm saying that like it's some like thing that I cracked. Like obviously it's talking about the Darkhold, but that was when I was like, yeah.
I forget which movie it is. Doesn't Doctor Strange have like a whole thing of like a whole wall of just like all these different like?
Yeah, that's in the first Doctor Strange, but they don't have have the Darkhold.
Right. But it's like all the other like
all the other mystical
books.
Yeah. But yeah, I loved that because that was the moment where I went, oh, okay, so we are genuinely being like, this is a direct sequel to Multiverse of Madness. Like in terms of it, not that it's gonna tie into Doctor Strange stuff, but basically this show doesn't happen without Multiverse of Madness happening first and Wanda dying. And then I think that's what happened with Agatha, is that the spell kind of broke down over time, and kind of the seams were coming undone. That's what it seemed like to me, at least.
Yeah, I guess that would kind of explain that for me, because that was the moment in the first episode where I was like, I'm not really sure how we kind of got out of this, but I guess like the way you explain it, where it's like there was already kind of cracks starting to form. They all kind of just like compounded on one another, and then it all just kind of. I did like that scene where she's kind of going from each like costume that she was in. Yeah,
like ripping off the WandaVision layers of herself.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, again, that's just like that is just pure executional like brilliance. You know what I mean? That was just like, it looked fantastic. You understood what was happening, even though obviously in reality, makes no sense. You're peeling off layers of yourself from fictional TV realities that you were, in. But the fact that just it all made sense, it all looked fantastic, and you believed it. Even just the fact that like you believe and like Rio. Obviously, the fact that it's Aubrey Plaza helps, but the fact that you just buy into that character from first meeting, basically, it's just a really, really good sign of things to come. So moving on for me, I think another big win for this. I really liked who, and this is somebody, obviously I guess she's like a huge stage person and everything, but I'd never seen or heard of Patti LuPone until the hype for this show started building up. And I think that her as Lilia, who's like the divination witch, I thought that she was fantastic. And the fact that it's so funny because watching the two episodes, it's like Aubrey Plaza made such an impression that she just felt like she was in both episodes, but she wasn't. And then I felt the same way about Patti LuPone. I was like, she made such a big impression and was just so great in the scenes that she was in. I was like, oh wow, she wasn't even in it until like halfway through the second episode. But I really, really liked her. And a couple of the other people I really like, Sashir Zameda. I don't know about Alice Wu Gulliver yet. I just feel like she's the most
kinda...
little standoffish and like quiet and stuff. So I'd be excited. I'm sure there's probably a big like, breaking out of that or having a big emotional moment, to come for her. But yeah, what did you think about some of the other witches that we kind of, not necessarily putting the band back together, but putting the band together, I guess, for the first time in episode 2?
Yeah, it all seemed like they were all kind of in hiding. That was kind of the vibe I was getting. And then maybe it seemed like one of them was Jennifer Kale. Was she kind of, because they mentioned multiple times that she was, I forget what the word was. Yeah, bound. I was like, I don't know what that means. Because I took it as like she can't use her powers.
Yeah, that's what I took it as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
because then she uses them. I thought in the basement, so I was like, well, maybe she can use them. I don't know.
Well, I think it's she does. She definitely. They all have their little like, flame on hand that comes on.
Right. Yeah.
I think that was just more like even if that plan had gone through and they did summon some, again, just the writing and the delivery of Patti LuPone. She goes, you brought us down here thinking that you could siphon a spark that would, light your powers just enough to do whatever that string of like words was. I was like, God damn. I was like, that is like a great line. Like I love that. But, yeah, I think it was more just like, maybe all it would have been was just an uncontrollable like power blast. Like, I think it's the fact that like she can't use her magic in a controlled, stabilized way. And she even says, she's like, I've tried everything to get my powers back. So maybe she has, some abilities, back that she didn't have before. But I liked that. And then I liked, it seemed like, I liked the whole concept of, and I saw some people online being like, well, how come all these witches are in Westview? I like the concept that she said that it's like, it's just like ancient witch knowledge that in any 3 mile radius, you will find enough witchy enough people to form a coven. So it's like, you take a psychic like in Patti LuPone, you take someone who's related to a witch, you take a witch who can't even practice her magic anymore. It's like, I like that it was like, you're not finding 4 people that are just like these huge cackling, like, cooking children witches. It's like, it's all these witches who maybe in the 1600s were these powerful people, but now they're all just like trying to make it, in life, just like everybody else. And this Witch's Road is like the opportunity for all of them to get back out there and get their powers back and harness their power in a way they've either never done, in the case of Alice Wu Gulliver, or get their power back to a level that it used to be at, like in Sashir Zameda. So I liked all of them. I really liked, like you said a couple times, Deborah Jo Rupp. I just really liked that whole dynamic. And the end with the song and stuff, I did think, on the on the third time watching it, I was like, man, this song's pretty long.
It is long.
I was like pretty long, but I to me, the only thing that makes it go like, ooh, is I just cringe anytime it's like people are singing in a like completely serious manner. And like they were just cutting back to their faces too much for me. I was like, if you had focused, because anytime they were singing over teen like freaking out with the same, that stuff was fantastic. And Herb having the little joke, you go, are you seeing this? He said, "Oh hell no!" He said
Yeah,
he
I thought
dropped his
that was
groceries.
funny.
Like
That was
as like it's just another reminder that like these poor people in Westview, like they've been through so much. It's like he
right.
sees another witch come and he's like, I am out of here. I thought all that stuff worked. It was just like the like cutting back to them where they're like really singing. I was just like,
Right.
all right, like I was
Wasn't
checking
there
out
like
watching more,
another?
but
Wasn't there like another movie slash show recently that kind of did the same? Not like obviously like Coven wise or anything like that,
yeah.
but the characters were singing and it felt very like just out of play. I can't remember what it is, but I
I mean, was it the
feel like
was
I've
it
I've seen
should
this
we
before.
even say the word?
I
Was
don't
it
know.
the
What
was
was
it the
it?
latest Star Wars show that happened?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was a Coven.
yeah, it was almost the exact same thing. And hey, listen,
That's-
I don't even want to say the name. I liked that show a
Mhm.
lot more than a lot of other people.
That show we just never got to discuss.
Yeah, I
Ugh,
know. Maybe we'll do like a year end
a retrospective.
yeah, a retrospective on it. But I'm not even gonna say the name, but I liked the show, and that's a thing to me that just the execution of this show is just so much better than the execution of that one. And I get it. The leash is looser when you're filming
Oh, yeah.
something in a basement compared to having to make a galaxy far, far away, which takes half your budget right off the top, and then also still trying to execute it on the same levels. You know what I mean? It's like you
Right.
can pay more monies or more monies. You can pay more money to set decoration and stuff when you're just decorating a set that looks like a basement. You know what I mean? Versus you're having to create 10 different planets and stuff like that. But again, I regardless of those factors, I just think that to me Agatha is just one of those shows that even let's compare it to an MCU show, even compared to Secret Invasion. The stuff in this show that's obviously on big sets that the sets look fantastic. Even just compare it to something like Nick Fury's house in Secret Invasion, just the way that it's shot, the way everything, it felt smaller and cheaper in Secret Invasion compared to how the sets feel in this show. So I think that's a huge plus for it, and then obviously, a really really cool moments going actually into the Witch's Road at the end of the episode. But yeah, before we get to the end, is there anything that you want to touch on before we go into kind of talking about the end of the second episode and then what might be in store for episode 3?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, just for me, really enjoyed both episodes. For sure, excited for the next one. But we have the end of this episode. The Salem 7 is another thing I liked was her seeing what I would assume is like the familiars of the Salem 7, where she saw the crow and the rat and the dog in the street and stuff. I thought all that like ominous stuff was really really cool. And again, it's one of those things where Agatha doesn't go, the Salem 7 are on their way. She just go. It's just somebody mentioned the Salem 7 in the beginning of the last episode, and so now it's just these little pickups to remind us, but not beat us over the head with it. And I think that's, again, just we're talking about all the aspects of it. The writing by Jack Schaefer, again, I think that's just that WandaVision writing of, we're going to give you a little thing here, we're going to touch back in with it, throughout, and then when the payoff happens, the payoff happens. I loved, that the argument and Agatha trying to bait them into the powers. I do genuinely think that Agatha wanted the song to work. I don't think that, I don't believe Agatha that she's like, I just wanted you down here so I can steal your power. I think it was just, that was like plan B in the moment. Right. But I liked when the door opened, how it opened, and then I honestly, somebody who maybe we've talked a lot about his character, we haven't really talked about him a lot. I really like Joe Locke as Teen. I just think there's something about him in his line deliveries. Even, something that I know I would not like and find, kind of grating with another performer is when she goes like, this is my pet, say hi, pet. And he's like, hi. Like, even that, like, a stupid little interaction like that with a lesser performer, I'd be like, all right, like, ha ha, like that's really funny. But like when it's just coming from him, like I believe that he wants to learn this stuff. I believe that he's looking for something more. So I really like Joe Locke in this show so far. And then going back to the ending, his sprinting down the stairs and just going, "Is that the road? Great, let's go!" Like that was really funny to me. And then I like too in that moment when she turns to Deborah Jo Rupp and she goes, because Deborah Jo Rupp's like, do I go down or do I go up? And she just goes, what does your gut say? Like, come on, like we got like just make a
She
decision.
first one in the basement. She said, "Are we doing laundry together?"
Yeah, she was fantastic. Am I supposed to know this song? That was just like absolutely fantastic. But yeah, what did you think on the ending? And then what are your expectations about our first dive down the Witch's Road for episode 3?
Yeah, I'm with you on pretty much everything. I really liked kind of. I don't think I think I'm with you. I don't think she intended. I think she would have rather had obviously the door open.
Yeah.
Than have to take all their powers. Granted, do I think she would have had a problem taking all their powers? No.
Yeah. Also agree.
It probably would have worked better too if she didn't say it ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's why it's like that's again like a plant payoff of like, well, that's why would she even tell her that secret? It's just so that she goes, I know what you're doing.
Right.
But again, it's like that's like super obvious, super simple. But I like Patti LuPone in this character, so like I bought it when she was like, oh,
yeah,
you're doing the thing that you just told me about. You know,
right.
I liked it so.
I liked going down and getting on the road. I've had like a Wizard of Oz vibe. I felt like. And last thing, real quick, I watched some of the credits. I really liked how they kind of picked kind of different, creepy / witch characters.
The end credits were great. Yeah,
that was really cool. Snow White, I saw, and then I saw Lisa Simpson dressed as a witch.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Really cool.
I like how you said her first and last name like she was a real person. I saw Lisa Simpson in there. I couldn't believe it.
Well, if I say Lisa, I feel like people don't,
I've never watched the show, but I knew it. Yeah.
Really good second episode. I thought a strong ending, and I am interested. I was at first. I was like, why do they have to take their shoes off? That didn't really. And then I saw it like at the first like credit. It was like a big book, and it said, "Must remove your shoes," like or something.
I saw that too. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if that's like them explaining it away or something, or I just thought it was like I don't know why it's necessary, but
yeah. I think it's one of those things that you go, why is that necessary? And then they go, well, let's put let's have that be the first thing your eye goes to in the credits. And then everybody just goes,
yeah.
Oh, well, it was in that book, wasn't it?
It wasn't that book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, I believe it then. I like that it's just like, they can use those credits to kind of throw in a little expository thing, instead of obviously not, there's no post-credit scene.
Right.
Another thing I want to get your quick thoughts on, 2 seconds here, because it is literally like 5 seconds. What were your thoughts? To my knowledge, this is the first show with the new Marvel Television intro. The little like static box at the beginning, and then it just goes bum 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 bum, and that's it. And it just says Marvel Television. I really like that. I thought it was I thought it was a cool touch, and I hope they keep the exact same one for all the shows, because I like that it was like a remote clicking an old TV on. Yeah, I liked it because it's a little callback, because it's the first show they ever did was WandaVision. So I think that would be cool to keep that keep WandaVision, honored in it. Yeah.
One question I have for you: Are we ever gonna get it? Are we gonna get an intro?
Intro of what?
Intro for the show.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. There is no intro. Yeah, yeah. Well, to be fair, the last live action series did not. The intro, I would say, was not received very well.
What was that? Secret Invasion?
Yeah,
but that was
AI
well. That was like not everything is as it seems. That type of thing.
This guy gets it. This guy gets it.
Right.
Come on.
I will say,
use AI?
At first, when they did they did like a True Detective style intro in the first episode, I was like, I don't like this very much, and I was like, I hope this isn't the actual intro. And then I was thinking, well, maybe it was like kind of like a continuation of the first episode, so it's kind of like they release them at the same time, so they
Yeah, so maybe
kind
the
of
third
go
one
together.
will have it. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe the third one
Mhm.
will have one. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like the just like hitting the ground running. Like if that's what they just keep
Mhm.
doing, whatever. Because I think also it makes up for it because the end credits are so like so much. Like it's like there's
Right.
so much thought and attention put in the end credits. Maybe they just don't have an opening.
I was ready
credits.
for Agatha all along. I was gonna
I know,
start
yeah.
singing.
I actually kind of like that they are like I think the easy route would be put a little fun intro on this and play the song that everybody loves.
Mm.
I would love it if they never play that song in this entire show. Because
Yeah.
it's just like, it just shows that, yes, this is coming after WandaVision, but it's not just like, remember 3 years ago? For 9
Mhm.
episodes.
Right.
And I think that's going to lead me to my final thoughts on it is, I think that I liked the little bit of the True Detective style, first half of the first episode. But I like that it goes, yes, this is very much a sequel to WandaVision. This is very much a continuation off of events from Multiverse of Madness. But it's going to be its own thing. This is a
Mhm.
show about Agatha. It's not a show about Wanda. Wanda, caused a lot of havoc for a lot of these characters, mainly, including Agatha. So Wanda's going to be a part of it, but it is its own show and its own thing, and Agatha is a different driving force than Wanda or Vision. So I really like that. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes. And I think to circle back all the way to the beginning of our conversation, you said I think the first 2 episodes make me feel confident about where we're going. I think I'm gonna agree with that 100%. I think after these first 2 episodes, I am confident that these next 7 are gonna, at the bare minimum, be well executed filmmaking. On a fun show. But
Mhm.
hopefully it's well executed filmmaking on a great show. I would love that. And I have no indication that it won't be. So I'm really liking this show so far. Big win and big like from me. But TJ, what are your kind of final thoughts on the first
Yeah.
2 episodes so far of Agatha?
Yeah, a really strong start. Glad to see Kathryn Hahn back in this universe. We haven't seen her since, I don't think, right?
Yeah.
So really nice to see that. Excited where the show's gonna go, and as a fan of WandaVision and as a fan, you know what, unapologetically, a fan of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Boom.
Even though I've only seen it once, so
Yeah.
maybe rewatch. I'll have a completely different opinion.
See,
I don't know.
I feel like I like that movie more the more distant I get from it. I've also
Yeah.
only seen it once, so
Right,
yeah.
So really excited to see where this goes, and like I said earlier, hopefully this kind of brings the MCU back. Deadpool Wolverine, another movie we didn't talk about. I would have loved to talk about it with you because it was good. Again, I think I said to you, the more I thought about it, the more holes I could poke in it, which was like really kind of sucks. But I think it started with Deadpool Wolverine. Now we got Agatha all along. We're kind of we're getting the train back on the tracks. Okay, we're gonna start, and then hopefully we can get the train really going, and then finish strong with whatever we got going with Doom and all that other stuff.
Yeah. I think it'll be very interesting to see where we go from here. But till then, guys, thank you guys for joining us back on here. If you are loving this, just throw us a comment down below. Just say the word more. Just if you guys want more. Knowing that you guys are out there, knowing that you guys want more content from us will drive us to go ahead and make more stuff, review more episodes. Do you want to see us, maybe we can go ahead and maybe once it hits Disney Plus or something, we can rewatch Deadpool and Wolverine. Maybe we record a review for it for when it goes on Disney Plus. Let us know, any of that stuff. Do you want to hear our thoughts on Penguin? Everything like that. And again, we can't guarantee, that we are going to have, a set schedule or anything like that. But we want to do more of this. We want to thank you guys for joining us for this review for the first 2 episodes with super long episode titles that I am not going to say here of Agatha All Along episode 1 and 2 spoiler review and discussion. So until then, guys, like I said, subscribe, share this video, tell them to comment. The more likes, the more comments, the more we will feel your presence and everything out there. So until then, guys, we will catch you in the next video.